Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Tina's Arena. Last week, we talked about consistency and how it's important to continually get after your goals. Even if you stop, even if you take a break, whatever, get back on the horse and continue working towards your goals. So, this week, I want to talk about tracking and how important it is to track your progress towards your goals. Because if you're not tracking, then you don't actually know how much progress you're making. And if you've been following me on social media or anywhere, you know that I am not a big proponent of tracking calories because that can lead to food obsession. And it is how my eating disorder began because I was tracking calories and my brain would mentally, of course, mentally, my brain would freak out when I saw on my tracker app that I only had 500 calories left for the day. Even though 500 calories can be a lot and you can eat a lot of food with 500 calories, my brain is focused on the restrictive part of it. So, tracking calories, depending on you and your mindset, can be a great avenue for people to lose weight. It is definitely much more accurate than intuitive eating. Full stop. It is accuracy. And with better accuracy, you can achieve better results and you can achieve them quicker. So if you are looking to do a crash diet and you want to lose a bunch of weight really fast, well, then you probably want to track your calories. But that is not something that is sustainable long term, the crash diet part of it. I mean, there are plenty of people that track calories for the rest of their lives, but that is not who I am. I am not a person that wants to track calories. I have actually never wanted to track calories. So when I forced myself to track calories in order to lose weight, number one, I hated the whole idea of it. And number two, I was not in the right mindset because I was focusing on restriction. So number three, my brain would freak out and I would rebel against the 500 calories that I had left for dinner, and I would end up binging and eating way more than 500. And this is how my eating disorder began. So, yes, tracking calories is going to be beneficial for a lot of people, but also there is going to be a whole group of people just like me that are going to react in a way that is not healthy to tracking calories. So, what can we do instead of tracking calories? You can track so many things. And it's important to track something because if you're not tracking, then you're not measuring your progress. Some people track their weight, which can also be problematic for people with eating disorders. But it works for a lot of people as long as you don't get discouraged by it. If you're able to just use your weight as data, then that is the best mindset to be in. Because then you can ask yourself, what did I do today or yesterday? Because weight fluctuates over several days. And how did that affect my weight? And if you can remove emotion from it, then great. You can track calories and you can track your weight, and it will be cool and it will be fine. But if you're like me and you feel like you should do this and like this should happen, and I was so hungry today, but I didn't lose any weight yet. If you're in that kind of mental headspace, then tracking calories and tracking your weight is probably not going to be a good idea for you. It's going to lead to more distress, more mental headache, which could lead to additional coping behaviors such as emotional eating. So, I congratulate you if you are able to track calories in your weight, but it's not something that I can do or I want to do, so I don't. So, what are some things that I track? I track the amount of protein I eat, and it's not even a science when I track my protein, it's a guesstimate. So I drink 2 protein shakes a day, which is between 50 to 60 grams of protein for both. And that leaves me with about 100 grams of protein left for me to eat throughout my day. So then I just try to eat about 30 grams of protein at each of my 3 meals, which is about a palm sized serving of protein. And that's it. That's my protein math. And if I happen to skip a meal, which I don't do often, it usually just gets delayed or something, but it doesn't matter to me is my point if one day I get 100 grams and the next day I get 150 grams and then the day after I get 125 grams and then the day after that I get 90 grams. Obviously, my goal, not obviously, my goal is 150 grams of protein per day. Sometimes I probably get more, oftentimes I probably get less. And that is why I set my protein goal high, because if I get less, then I'll still get at least 100, probably on most days. And 100 is important for me and my goals because I want to build muscle. I want to maintain muscle. I want protein to keep me satiated. So I want to eat less candy and chocolate. There are a multitude of reasons why I have a high protein goal. And my protein goal is actually quite moderate. It's not super high. So even if I was aiming for 200 grams of protein per day, that would be a high protein goal for me, but it would still be feasible and it would still work for me in my goals. Whereas if I were aiming for 100 and I hit 100 every day, that would not likely be enough protein for me. So my goal is 150 most days. And if I fluctuate, then whatever. I don't count my carbs, I don't count my fat, and I don't count my calories. All I care about is my protein intake. But I do prioritize fiber. And that's probably another conversation for another day. But yes, okay. So I track my protein. What else do I track? I track my workouts now. I used to be into powerlifting probably about 10 to 12 years ago now. And when I was doing powerlifting, I was tracking my workout weights because I was really, really motivated to push more weight every single week. But I had some mobility issues. I pulled a muscle, so I stopped lifting heavy. I also got burnt out and tired. And this is when I was overworked and, working like 12 hours days, like 6, 7 days a week. Had a restaurant just busting my ass and I got burnt out. So I stopped lifting heavy. So I started lifting heavy weight again, probably at the beginning of COVID. Actually, I was very upset when COVID happened because the gyms were closed and I had just gotten into a good routine of lifting weight again. So, yes, it was around COVID where I started lifting heavy again. But this time I wasn't tracking my weight, the weight that I was using to lift. And that didn't work out well for me because I didn't make significant progress in this time because my memory fails me often. So I wouldn't remember which weight I was using to exercise with. And if you probably know, like, say I'm doing a back row and I'm rowing 50 pounds, it feels hard. It still feels hard to row 50 pounds for me. But if I look at my workout history, I can see that actually did 70 pounds last week, but now I'm only doing 50 because it feels hard either way. Like 50 will feel hard and 70 is still going to feel hard, but a little bit more hard. So when I can see that I did 70 last week, well, that's going to make me put 70 back on for today. And it's going to make me attempt the 70 again. Even if it doesn't go well, at least I'm attempting it and like I can gauge where my strength is if it fluctuates. But at least I know that I should be able to do the 70 because I saw that I did it last week. So if I wasn't tracking my workouts, then I wouldn't have remembered that I was able to do the 70 pounds. Does that make sense? So tracking your workouts and seeing the progress that you've made the week before helps keep you honest and it helps keep you pushing yourself because if you're not looking back at what you've already done, you're not going to push yourself as hard, right? It's like I can't think of another example that is like that, but that's basically my point. If you're not tracking, then you're not making progress as quickly as you could be because you're not challenging yourself as much as you should be. Tracking enables you to see what you've already done, and it enables you to see what you've already accomplished at the gym. And it allows you to know that you've already done it so that you can do it again and you could probably do more. That's why tracking is important. And tracking your protein is just as important because if you want to become stronger, if you want to lose weight potentially, having a high protein goal is essential to that because having a high protein goal while losing weight means that you're going to maintain the muscle mass that you have because you're eating enough protein to maintain your current muscle. And if you're strength training while having a high protein intake, that means that when you're eating less calories, your body will hold onto your muscle more. I hope this makes sense. And there are so many things that you can track outside of nutrition and outside of working out with weights. You can track the number of steps that you take every day. You can track the number of hours that you're sitting at your desk and trying to decrease that number. You can track the number of hours that you've slept. You can track the number of liters of water that you drank. You can track so many things. You can track the number of minutes that you've meditated. You could track, I don't know, how many hours you spent vacuuming. There are a lot of things that you could focus on to improve your health, strength, and fitness that do not involve tracking calories. If you are a beginner, then it might not matter as much how much weight you are benching every week. Maybe when you just start out, you should be tracking the number of times you get to the gym. Maybe just entering the gym is good enough, and maybe that's what you should be tracking. Like I've said in previous podcasts and interviews that I've done, like if you are a super beginner, maybe it's walking around in circles in your house, and maybe you're tracking the number of circles around your house that you've done. It's not about perfection. It's not about doing it the way that you think it needs to be done. It's doing it in a way that works for you. That is what is important. How can you make it work? How can you build a habit that lasts? And how can you track it so that you know if you're making progress or not? So, what are you tracking? Let me know. It's tinasarena.com, or you find me on Instagram. You probably know where I am already. Tinas_arena_. I hope that this made sense, and I would love to hear from you. So, talk to you soon.